for more on what affected passengers can do amid all this uncertainty, we're joined live by Gabor Lukacs, President of Air Passenger Rights. Gabor, thank you so much for joining us. What is your advice to anybody who may be flying with Air Canada in the coming weeks?
Good afternoon. It's great to be with you. My first advice is don't believe what Air Canada is telling you. They are giving out often misinformation. Just this morning, we have seen passengers being told your flight has been canceled and we have no other flights for you for 120 airlines we have searched. We went online and found more than a dozen options for that passenger. Air Canada is trying to push, using deception, passengers to cancel their trips, to opt for a refund instead of asserting their legal right to alternate transportation. Make no mistake, in the current situation, Air Canada owes you alternate transportation and has to rebook you as a passenger, not just on its own or partner airlines, but also on competitors if it is unable to rebook you on its own network or partner airlines. That's what Air Canada doesn't want to do. If you receive such an email, then what you should do is check if you can find yourself a flight, buy the ticket that Air Canada refused to buy for you, and then send Air Canada the bill. Don't just fall for the deceptive misinformation Air Canada is putting out.
That is so interesting to hear you say that, you know, as a passenger, as a customer, you are entitled to alternative arrangements. What should you be saying on the phone then when you're told, I'm sorry, a refund is your only option?
I would say, sir or madam, your only option is comply with the law. The law says you have to provide alternate transportation, and I see on my screen, if that's the case, 10 different flights which would get me on other airlines to my destination. Are you willing to comply with the law and rebook me on that? Or should I do it myself and send you the bill? These are your choices, madam or sir. You have to be extremely assertive. Don't be a pushover and stand your ground.
Okay, that's good advice, and I'm sure a lot of people are going to be using it. Do you think that it's going to be a capacity issue at some point for Air Canada rebooking all of these people?
It could become that, and that's a different story. But so far, what I've been seeing is often cases where Air Canada was misleading passengers, fraudulently deceiving them to believe that there are no flights when they were able to go to a different airline or just go online, and they were able to find a number of other options.
And Gabor, at what point are you as a customer entitled to more than a refund or another flight? At what point can you ask for more compensation?
Right now, we are dealing with preemptive cancellations. The strike is not ongoing yet.
Right.
So Air Canada's PR stunt that they are saying orderly shutdown, that holds no water. They still have employees. They still have crew. They could fly passengers. They just don't want to park aircraft at foreign airports or don't want to fly them back to Canada at a higher cost, empty. So they are now making business decisions. Currently, if your flight is canceled now and it is before the strike, you are entitled to meals, accommodation, and up to $1,000 in lump sum compensation. Furthermore, even when the strike is ongoing, if you were starting from the European Union, which has a gold standard passenger protection, unlike Canada's APPR, which is quite problematic, then you are still entitled to meals and accommodation and up to 600 euros in lump sum compensation. Lastly, if your flight is part of an international travel, most international travel is covered by the Montreal Convention, which is a treaty that is also part of the Canadian Federal Carriage by Air Act. It has the force of law in Canada. So that means that if you incur expenses for meals and accommodation or even lost wages, Air Canada would have to pay for that after the fact. The main difference is that the Montreal Convention operates generally after the fact. You first incur your expense, then you demand the airline to pay. If they don't pay, take them to small claims court. With the APPR and the European regime, the airline is supposed to, let me stress, supposed to provide those upfront. Often they don't. Just make sure you incur expenses, keep the receipt, and then send the bill to the airline. And don't be intimidated if they tell you we don't pay. The translation for when they tell you we don't pay is, please take us to court, then we will pay.
Okay, Gabor Lukacs, President of Air Passenger Rights. Thanks so much for your perspective. Some interesting advice there for sure. We appreciate this.
Thank you very much for having me.